Hi, hello. My name is Sarah, and this is my knitting podcast episode 2. For those of you who saw my first video, my first knitting podcast, and watched and engaged with me in the comments, thank you so much for your kind words. Thank you so much for entrusting me with your time. This has been a really exciting opportunity for me, and I'm really thrilled to be making a second knitting podcast. It is thanks to you all that I have the confidence to make this second knitting podcast, so thank you so very much. For those of you who didn't see my first video, again, my name is Sarah. This is Sarah Kate Knits. I'm a knitter based in North Florida, so I work primarily in summer fibers and fingering weights, but I will sometimes go out of my summer knits zone to do some DK weight projects or some woolly sweaters. There's not a lot of them, but there are some. I'm really excited to share what I've been working on with you. This is going to follow the regular format of these knitting podcasts. I'm going to go through my most recent finished objects. Today we only have 3, and then I'm going to go through my current works in progress. There's quite a few today. And then I'm planning on talking about some acquisitions and future plans. That's a smaller segment as well. This video is a dense work in progress video. So grab your knitting, grab a drink. I have my cold brew here. And let's talk about all things knitting. All right, so the first segment of the video today is my current finished objects. Let's start with what I'm wearing. This is my second ranunculus by Midori Hirose. I knitted this top in Knitting for Olive Pure Silk in the color Pea Shoots. I am quite happy with how this turned out. I think that it is so breezy. It's quite wide. I knit the size 3 because my printed out pattern that I had from last time I knit it, I had highlighted all of the size 3 measurements. So I just assumed without checking my Ravelry backlog that I had knitted the size 3 last time. And I don't think that I did because this one is much wider than my first one. So I don't know why the size 3 stuff was highlighted. But ultimately this is a little wider than I had intended, and it's also a little more cropped than I had intended. I wanted a little bit more of a slimmer, longer ranunculus, but really the whole goal was to use up the 3 balls of Knitting for Olive Pure Silk that I had, and I did succeed in that. This is 3 balls of Knitting for Olive Pure Silk held double, so you do get a full top out of it. The ranunculus is a very yarn efficient pattern, so I am grateful for that. I love the color. Green really is my color. I have a lot of green things. You'll see more green things to come. But again, it's the ranunculus. It's a fantastic pattern. The pure silk is such a wonderful summer fiber, so I am really grateful to have gotten to use that again. I've used some before. I talked about it in my previous video for my June top by Petite Knit, so I really enjoy this yarn. It's a fantastic fiber for hot Florida weather, especially with this lace detail. It's very, very comfortable. So I am happy with it. The fit is not what I was going for. It was not what I had in my mind's eye when I cast this on, but I am still quite happy with the result. I think that it's very flattering. It's a nice color. I did spare you the details on this pattern last time when it was a work in progress, but I'll just give the specs on this pattern because this is the finished object segment, so you might as well know. If you haven't knit the ranunculus before, it is knit with any weight yarn. So this was a DK weight-ish, holding 2 strands of silk together, their fingering. I have knit one with 2 strands of mohair, so that was about a fingering weight gauge, but you can use any yarn, any gauge. You knit this pattern on 6mm needles, so it is such a quick knit. I think that's why so many people love this pattern, is because it really is a fast pattern. So I started mine on July 9th and I finished on August 12th, but however, I do have a lot of whips going at once. I'm not a monogamous knitter, like many of you, as I know. And so this is a really fast knit with other projects going. It was like a reprieve from some of my more challenging or detail-oriented or difficult projects. So I really enjoy this one. It is very flattering. It's flattering on all body types. So I won't talk too much more about the ranunculus. We've seen it a lot. It's really a overdone pattern, probably. No, it's not overdone. It's a really beautiful design. I think that it's worth the hype. If you haven't knit one, I implore you, knit one. It is fast. You can use yarn from stash. You could use a single skein of sock yarn, depending on the size you're going for. But yeah, it is a very versatile pattern, and I'm so glad to have a summer version because my first one is definitely woolly and prickly and hairy. So grateful for this beautiful green lace knit for summer, and that's the ranunculus. The next finished object is something I was gushing over in its work in progress form in my last video. It is the Ophelia top by Starcross Knits. Let me unroll it for you. Here she is in all of her glory. Oh, this is mostly finished. You can see I have some ends that are sticking out. I just washed it and blocked it. I haven't worn it out or like to work or as an outfit yet, but it is very soft, just like I talked about last time. I knit this top in the Bad Sheep yarn Mulberry silk fingering in the color Georgia Peach Sangria. I picked this up at Fuzzy Goat. I used 2 skeins. Actually, I didn't use the full 2 skeins. I still have this much left, this little tiny bit. So this is 0.59 skeins. It's 59 grams or 258 yards. So I didn't use the full 2 skeins. I used about one and then like 40% of the second one. I'm hoping that I can maybe get a bralette out of this or something. Something soft and tiny because it's so small. I know I could make a headscarf, but I don't really wear those that much. So I'm hoping that with this extra, I can make like a little bralette, something silky, close to skin, because this just feels so nice on the skin. So it's not a full 2 skein project with the size I made. It was really like a 1.5 skein project. Okay, so for some of the specs on this beautiful pattern by Starcross Knits or Tamara Jordan, this is knit on 2.75 millimeter needles, and you use a 2.5 millimeter crochet hook for these picot edges. I enjoyed this pattern so much. You guys know, if you watched the last video, I raved about it in whip form. This is a very well designed pattern. The bust shaping and waist shaping is so elegant. You can see in the try on video that it fits me like a glove. And that is the idea with this pattern and a lot of Tamara Jordan's patterns from what I understand. This is the first one I've done, but I will absolutely be doing more because it is such a gorgeous design. It is so clean and elegant and princess-like. I called it my princess top. This is my princess top. The detailing, the lace on the edges, I thought it was going to take longer or be more difficult for me. And it really isn't that difficult of a lace. You're only doing the lace pattern on the right side. The wrong side, you just purl, or if you're in the round, you just knit. So every other round is a lace round and every other round is a stockinette round. So it's less complicated than some of the other lace patterns that have really tripped me up, like Sorry Nordland patterns sometimes really trip me up. But I may just be a better knitter than I used to be when I attempted my first Sorry Nordland lace, because this really wasn't that difficult. Okay, I don't want to be misleading. I did have some issues with the lace on the sleeves. It's not difficult lace, but I did have to undo it a couple times because there was one sleeve in particular. I did one sleeve and the lace went well, and then I went to the other sleeve. I, did the short rows for all of this beautiful shaping for the cap sleeve, got down to the lace, started the lace, and then I would be doing that stockinette round after a lace round and realized that I was missing one stitch. So I knew that there was a yarn over somewhere that had dropped or I'd forgotten it. And so I had to unravel. And so there was definitely a little bit of unraveling when it comes to the lace on these edges. But it's so beautiful. It's worth the pain. It's worth the work. This top is just so lovely. The V-neck hits at a perfect spot with the lace. When I was working on it in a work in progress, it was a pretty deep V-neck, and I was a little worried that it wouldn't be work appropriate because of how deep the V-neck was falling, but the lace adds exactly the right amount of coverage, and the picot edges are just such a nice detail. The only mod I made to this pattern was that I used Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off, because when I had done the first sleeve, before doing the picot edge, you bind off after doing the lace, and I was just binding off as normal, as specified in the pattern, and then I put my arm through it like the opposite direction just to see if it would be tight on this upper part of my arm, and it absolutely was. There was no give. And so I unwound all of that, had to fix the lace again, and then bound off using stretchy bind off. And I did that for the neckline. I did that for the bottom hem as well, because I didn't want it to be too cinched anywhere. I wanted to be able to breathe. I wanted my arms to fit. And that was a really good mod. The Pico gave it a little bit more structure. So some people don't like the look of the stretchy bind off because the yarn overs that you do in the stretchy bind off, they kind of make it like bunchy looking and it doesn't look clean. But adding the Pico crochet edges at the end really firmed it up and made it look really clean and professional looking. And you can't even see that I used stretchy bind off. But the Pico, I was worried that the Pico would undo the stretchy that I had done by doing the stretchy bind off, but I think it's a really good compromise because it lets the lace breathe, but the Pico gives it structure. It makes me not so worried that this is going to stretch out a lot over time. One thing with the fit of this top, the armpits are quite snug on me. I've had this happen with other tops. It's probably because I don't try on enough. There's something about having to go onto a barber cord or attach another cord or, do some finagling to get it on that just deters me. And I just trust the pattern and I trust the size I picked. I knit the size 2 for this top. This was perfectly matching my bust measurements and my waist measurements. They were exactly the same, so I didn't have to change my stitch counts between sizes, which is something you can do if your bust and waist measurement don't match the bust and waist measurements indicated for the exact size. You can do the top one size and the bottom another size, but I was all size 2. But the armhole depth is, I wish it were a little bit deeper. I think I am particularly sensitive to the like tight armpits. I do think that I'll adjust, and this is silk, so I expect it to sort of stretch out and morph to my body a little bit more over time, but this is definitely a tight armpit. If anybody has knit this before and has followed to the pattern and didn't change the armhole, is it snug to your armpit? From the images that I see of other people on Ravelry who've done this pattern, it does look like that's the intended fit. Like it's supposed to be fit like a glove, tight to the armpit, tight to the waist, tight to the hips, etc. The Pico edge was a brand new technique for me. I got a special teeny crochet hook to work on it, and I had so much fun. I've been watching some schlocky horror movies because I'm trying to will fall to come. It's my favorite season, so I'm just willing it to come. So I was working on these Pico edges while watching a horror movie. I'll show you up close. I did start my fiber art making journey with crochet, and I like knitting a lot more, but the crochet details in this knitting pattern really make knitting and crochet into this beautiful harmony. And I think I might start searching for patterns that have like crochet embellishments, because it's a really beautiful way to blend the two crafts, and and it's really nice to see them complement each other, because I always feel like they look so different. It feels like you can choose one or the other, but this pattern is really just a beautiful fusion of the two crafts, and I just love how this top turned out. This didn't grow all that much after blocking. I was kind of surprised since it is 100% silk. It fits pretty similar to the way that it fit before blocking. I'll put in some pre-blocking photos for you to see. So yeah, this yarn doesn't stretch with blocking all that much. I think it got maybe a little bit longer, but it didn't get any wider, which maybe I'm used to that because I work with cotton a lot and that tends to get wider, not longer. Well, this got a little bit longer, but not any wider. So that's really nice. Overall, I am so happy with this finished garment. I think it fits me like a glove and looks so beautiful. Just makes me look like royalty. So thank you Starcrust Knits or Tamara Jordan for this beautiful pattern. I would highly recommend knitting this. I would highly recommend the Bad Sheep Mulberry Silk Fingering. Very happy with this finished garment. Very happy with the fit. We will see about the wear. But yeah, highly recommend this knit. I had a very enjoyable time. Okay, My last finished object is a small one. It is my Ribka pouch. This is by the Rat and Sea Witch, and this is a really quick scrap yarn project. I made mine using hedgehog fibers sock with this hobby mohair that I had left over from one of my mohair sweaters, and I just sort of winged it. I don't know. She has 2 sizes that she recommends certain row counts for. There's like an AirPods case one, which is the smallest one, and then there's a pencil case one, which is I think double the length of the AirPods case one. I went for something in the middle just to fit like lip gloss. I currently have some buttons in here. These are some more buttons. These buttons are for my Olga jacket. I'll talk about that in the whip section. It's a slow going one, but these buttons are cute. But yeah, the Ribka is a great way to use up some scrap yarn. I used very little of both of these yarns, and it's such a clean looking little trinket, such a little like bag charm. I had one of these buttons. This is one of the buttons that I plan to use for my Novice cardigan. That's another whip that I'll talk about in the whip section. But I just think that one little eye on this Ribka is so adorable. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Ribka pouch, it is knit on 3mm needles, and it is recommended that you use fingering weight yarn or sock yarn with a mohair. So it's a great way to use up common scraps that knitters have, just leftover yarns. You knit this flat, so you knit each panel from this top part down, and then you do the decreases and then increases for the tail. You finish one panel, bind off, you knit the next panel, and then you crochet them together with a single crochet around the edges. Then you fold over the top part to make a tube for this I cord to pass through, and then you knit an I cord. She recommends, I believe, 35 centimeters. I really was just like, I'm done knitting I cord, and was like, done. So I think that it's plenty long. It's plenty long to tie it around like that. This is so much fun. This just took me a couple nights. Worked on it while I was, watching horror movies, watching TV. So this is a very fun little knit. It's a very gratifying little finished object, scrap yarn project. We all need scrap yarn projects. We all do. So highly recommend Ribka pouch. It was so much fun. All right, so those were all of my finished objects. It is time to go through all of my works in progress. Today we have 5 works in progress. One of them you've already seen. Actually, 2 of them you've already seen, but I will give updates on them. I have some feelings about some of my older whips. There's a reason that they're still here and not completed. So we'll talk about that. All right, first step, the strawberry bag. This is what we have of my Novice cardigan by Petite Knit. I talked about this in my future plans section of my first knitting podcast. This is with the Malabrigo Arroyo yarn that I picked up at Pearl's Yarn Store in Asheville. I was so excited to cast this on and manifest fall. I know I'm a summer knits girl. I always will be, and I'll always have summer knits going. But a little merino cardigan is just so exciting and beautiful and soft. Okay, so for this work in progress, I'm using Petite Knit's Novice cardigan in the mohair edition. This is not mohair, it's merino, but it is a DK weight. It said sport/DK, so it's perfectly on gauge for this pattern. Very similar to holding 2 strands of mohair together. This is knit on 4mm needles with 3.5mm needles for the collar. Right now, it just looks like what my friends have called a Victorian collar, because it's just a round, I guess it's a round yoke. Is it a round yoke if it's a cardigan? I guess it is. It's a round yoke. The increases are just make one rights. And I was trying to figure out why this is called the Novice cardigan. I think it's supposed to be for new knitters because all of the increases are make one rights and you just do them every 2 stitches. So like you knit the neckband, you knit 1 round with make one rights every 2 stitches, then you knit another length, and then you knit 1 round with make one rights every 2 stitches, knit some more length, knit another round with make one rights every 3 stitches, and then 4 stitches, etc. So it's like it's just make one rights. So you really only have to learn 1 increase to make this yoke, which has been such a wonderful like TV project or like going to the brewery project, just hanging out because it's just stockinette. I mean, yes, it's a cardigan, so there's purling, but the increases are really chill. The construction's really chill. This yarn is really soft. I'm just gonna show you the knit fabric because last time you guys saw it in cake form, so now you can see it in the knit fabric. Really lovely purplish, brownish. I'm calling it a neutral. It's a neutral. Don't come for me, it's a neutral. I'm excited to wear it over top of some of my summer knit tank tops. I've never had like a hand knit on hand knit outfit before, so I'm really manifesting that for myself when it gets a little bit cooler. I think this will go with a lot of my like dusty pink tank tops. I've made a white tank top from last video. I think it'd go great with that. So I think that this will be really lovely over my hand knit tank top so I can have a double hand knit outfit. I am making this cardigan in the size 2 with 3 skeins of the Malabrigo Arroyo, so I think that will be plenty. I'm hoping to make really nice long sleeves that sort of cover my hand a little bit. I really want this to be very cozy. It's not going to be super oversized because I am making the size 2. I do like things that fit to my body a little bit. I don't really like to be swallowed by my knits. So this will be a little bit fitted, but I'm hoping to make the sleeves nice and long. I feel like I usually get sick of knitting sleeves and quit, and then my sleeves are too short or they're like bracelet length, which feels a little bit awkward sometimes because like with round yokes especially, you know, you move your arms, you like go to grab something and then your sleeve's like up here. We're trying to avoid that. We're trying to be better. We're trying to break our lazy knitting habits. So hold me to this. I'm going to make nice long sleeves for this cardigan. I have some friends that only crochet and I think I'm going to try and convince them to make this cardigan because it's really, once they get the purling down, it's really a pretty chill project. I'm excited to update you guys further on this. I'm sorry it's just a Victorian collar right now, but it will be more robust, more of a cardigan soon. This is a pretty, this feels like it's progressing quickly, and I'm really enjoying my time with this yarn and with this project. My next whip was also mentioned in my first knitting podcast or my last video. It's living in this cute little Candy Hearts project bag. Just pull the pattern out. This is my Lyra tee by Irene Lynn. I did mention this in my last video, and I was just so excited to cast it on. I actually asked Instagram if having 6 whips was too many. I don't have 6, I have 5, so I'm controlling myself, kind of. And they were like, no, bring on all the whips. So here we are, Lyra tee. It's also in a similar state to the Novice cardigan. It's because I have so many things going at once. I don't know if this is like a bad idea or not, but it's because I have so many things going at once. This is a fingering weight t-shirt pattern knit on 3.5 millimeter needles. You use 3.25 millimeter needles for this folded hem. I would just like to show off this folded hem. I know in my last video I complained about the folded hem on the Sunday tee by Petite Knit, and I realized that I might just be a better knitter than I was when I made the Sunday tee. I don't read patterns all the way through before I start them. I know they recommend that you do that, but I kind of like the element of surprise. So I print out my pattern at work, I open the pattern, I highlight all of the things for size 2 because I'm making size 2. That is the size that fits my bust measurement best. And then I cast on and I realized that you knit 12 rounds and then you do a folded hem by knitting 2 together with the cast on edge. And I was like, oh my God, no, not another folded hem. I'm so bad at these. Because the one on my Sunday tee, while it's not that noticeable, I know that it's there. It's a little slanted. Like the stitches were not knit together with the one directly in their same row. So they're like a little bit slanted. And I was so worried this was gonna happen again, but it really went well. The folded hem for the neckline is actually really quite clean. And she mentioned in the pattern that some of the test knitters had it like flopping out. I don't know if that's after blocking or in the whip life cycle, but mine feels like it's sitting pretty nicely. Like it's not really jutting out all that much. So I think that it's gonna work, especially once I block it and press it flat. I don't have any pins, so I just have to like press stuff into shape. or I'll use like bobby pins sometimes to like pin it flat. But yeah, this folded hem went so well, and so I was like, wow, this is amazing momentum. I'm so excited. So I'm knitting this pattern in the size 2, and I am using Bad Sheep Yarn's sock yarn in the color Aquamarine. I've used the Bad Sheep sock yarn before for my basic boat neck tank. I used 1 skein for that. I have 2 skeins for this tee, so it should be plenty. Really gorgeous yarn. I showed you it in hank form last video, so I'll show you what it looks like knit up. It's very subtle variegation with some speckles, so it reads as like a muted whitish blue color, and I think that will be really flattering on me because it's not too overwhelming of a color. It's not too like stripy looking. There's some striping, but it's nothing too crazy, so I'm really excited about that. I'm also really excited to be doing another saddle shoulder project. I believe this is a saddle shoulder. I've done this once before when I knit the Northland sweater for my partner. I used that petite knit pattern. That sweater fits him really well, and I feel like the saddle shoulder is a really satisfying look because it just rides the top of your shoulder and then it opens up into the sleeve. Same thing happening in this tee. You knit the saddle shoulder with the increases on both sides, and then it opens up into this twisted rib sleeve. And the twisted rib goes all the way down. Somebody in the comments of my last video was talking about how the twisted rib was a struggle, and I totally understand. I don't know, I think I might like it. I don't know. It's just something different for me because I have like the Novice cardigan, which is just like stockinette, and then I have the Minto tee, which I'll talk about in a second, which is just like cables. And so I feel like the twisted rib on the sleeve, while it is going to hurt my thumbs a little bit and be kind of a pain to do, I think that it is going to be worth it in those sleeves because they are just so like eye-catching. I think that this tee is the perfect combination of techniques with like a long swath of stockinette for the body, beautiful twisted rib for the whole sleeve, cables at the bottom of the top and on the sleeves. I just think that it's a really refined, I feel like I use the word refined a lot. I don't know if that sounds snooty or not, but I feel like it's really a refined pattern. Like I've made some more, like cables are cables. Cables are classic. Cables, you know, are almost autumnal. And then we have, you know, like lace tops, which are more girly and more feminine. The Ophelia top is so feminine. I feel like this is somewhere in the middle because we have a little bit of cable. We have a little bit of twisted rib. I know there's no lace. You can tell that I'm not a lace queen. I'm not crazy about lace. I will do it, and I do have things in my queue that are lace, but I love a little cable detail, little rib detail, a little bit more. So yeah, I think this pattern is super refined. I think this yarn was a great choice. I like the gauge as well. I don't know if you can tell, but it's pretty airy. I don't know if you can see my finger behind it passing through, but it's pretty airy. Like it's a little bit open. You will absolutely, I hope you won't be able to see like a nude bra under this. But yeah, I think it's solid enough to cover your bra, but breathable enough to like wear wool in a warmer climate. So I'm very excited about this. I'm following the mods of somebody on Ravelry. She has shorter sleeves and a longer body. I'm definitely trying to get a longer body because I am trying to move away from making everything cropped. I think that it is a symptom of not wanting to have leftover yarn. I really don't enjoy having leftovers because it's not enough to make another garment, but it's enough to like make a scrappy project, but it's too much to make that many scrappy projects. Like the amount of scraps I have, I feel like it would take me so long to use it all up in scrappy projects. So it's this weird like middle ground, and I don't want to give it away because it's again an awkward amount. So I try to get the right amount of yarn to make my size, obviously, and enough to make it long enough, but so I can use it all. I think the 2 skeins will be enough to get the length of sleeves that the girl on Ravelry has. They hit right about here, so maybe at the top of my tattoo, I think. Longer body. I'm gonna follow her mods. And we'll see how this turns out. I'm really excited about it. This one is one of those ones that's just like, the momentum is crazy. I think it was the folded hem being such a success that I just feel so attracted to this project. I don't know if you also have experienced that, where you have a couple whips going and there's one that's just so attractive. Like, it was the Ophelia top before and now it's the Lyra tee. It's just the one that I'm gravitating towards the most. We'll talk about in the next section, we're going to talk about the ones that I'm not gravitating toward. I have a feeling this is going to be done pretty soon. I feel like it'll definitely be done by the time I make my next podcast, so keep an eye out. I'll post updates on Instagram as well. But yeah, this one is very exciting. All right, so the next whip was in my last video, and it is still in the cute little sheep bag that my partner gave me, so thank you. This is my Minto tee. It was a little strip of fabric last time, so I'm proud that I finished the back panel, or like just the part before the armhole panel. The cable detail is really gorgeous. Love the cable pattern. I'm starting to get second thoughts about this color though. This is the Emma's Yarn Practically Perfect Sock in the color Closet Monster that I picked up at the Craftivist in Atlanta. So part of me, because this is what I would consider like a souvenir yarn, I don't live in Atlanta and that was on a trip that I picked this up, I want to make this really cute little Minto tee garment in it, but I'm worried that it's too garish. Like, I feel like this color might be too bright for me. And so like, I'm knitting on this project, you know, I'm doing the cables and I'm looking at this color and I'm just thinking like, when am I going, like, what am I going to wear this with? I can wear it with black dress pants. I can wear it with a black skirt. I could wear it maybe with a white skirt. And then like, when I'm not at work, I feel like it would look good with like black leggings, like a little cabled tee with black leggings. But I'm worried that this color is just too much. Should I knit this tee and then over dye it? Should I? But then like, then I feel like I'm removing the souvenir yarn part of it. Like, this is the color of this yarn. And I feel like if I over dye it, it's like I've erased what I picked out at the Craftivist. So I don't know. I feel mixed feelings on it. The cable pattern is really chill. You learn it pretty quickly. I still refer to the pattern just to make sure that I'm doing, like, because now I'm doing this like shoulder section in the front. So I'm starting to work these increases for the neckline. So I do need to like look at the pattern and make sure I'm doing the increases correctly. But this straight section for like, right, this section, the cable is pretty straightforward and you kind of learn it pretty quickly. I'm making the size extra small. That's another thing that worries me about this project is the size. I did not pick the size for this pattern with the amount of ease that the pattern suggests. I picked the one that's going to be closer to my bust measurement because I wasn't so sure about the oversized tee look. I wanted it to be a little more fitted, but I'm now kind of worrying that it's going to be like tight. I've looked at some of the other people on Ravelry's projects that knit the extra small, and they look like a similar size to me, like bust wise and everything, and it fits them like kind of fitted, which is the look I'm going for, but it looks really small. Like, it looks so small. I'm not really sure. I don't know. I think it'll fit, especially once I add the sleeves and everything. But yeah, I just have so many concerns with this, and they're all my fault too. I picked the color. I only bought 2 skeins, so I'm like limiting myself to a smaller size or a cropped size. But again, we're trying to move away from cropped, so I picked a more fitted size so I could get more fitted but more length. And so like, all of this is my fault, but I just don't know. I would really love your feedback if this color works on me or not. I do think I'm going to see it through after I finish the projects that I'm like more in love with. I brought this to work as like a trick for myself because if I only have one project available to me at work, I'll work on it. Because when I have downtime, I want to knit. And so I'm gonna knit on whatever is available. So that was smart. That's how I got this whole back panel done, as well as started the front shoulder. But yeah, I'm hoping to see this through. I'm hoping to have changed feelings on it. It feels like cables are an autumnal motif. And the color I picked, I said last time it looked like a swimming pool and it was like summery. But in my mind, the functionality of this is not really a summer top. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to see it through. If it doesn't fit me, I suppose I could give it away, but I think it'll fit me. Really, the issue is the color. So, feedback on the color. I think I'm like a warm autumn. I don't ascribe to my palette, but still, like, what do we think? All right. I look forward to your feedback. So yeah, this is her. More progress in the future. I'm going to push through. My next work in progress is something that I mentioned briefly last time. I think I put in a photo of where I was at, and I haven't made any progress since then. I just wanted to show you guys the garment on video so you could get a better look. This is the Olga jacket by Petite Knit. I'm calling it my Olga scrap jacket because this is a scrap yarn project. And I think it's a successful use of scrap yarn. This is like I had one skein of each color type vibe. So I'm not worried about like running out of any of these colors, but I did do the sleeves first and I got them to the length that I want. So if I start running out of colors, I'll just have like a cropped cardigan. But I think I'll be able to get it to the full length. So this pattern is a DK weight pattern. It's knit on 4mm needles with 3.5mm needles for the cuffs and the neckband and stuff. And this pattern is kind of popping off. It's kind of a popular pattern. So I'm not going to talk about it crazy because I know that you all have probably seen other people knit these. I first got the idea to knit this from Maddie from Buy a Thread Knits here on YouTube. So hi Maddie, thank you for the inspo. Love this pattern. Yeah, I'm using a variety of yarns. Most of these are cotton because I am a summer girl, hot weather girl. So this is supposed to be a bit of a lighter cardigan. Like it's not going to insulate me too much. I'm hoping to have it be something I can throw on. And the idea is that like with so many colors represented, I'll be able to wear it with a lot of my other handmade knits, like the tank tops, just like my idea for the Novice cardigan. I really want to have that double handmade knit outfit going. So manifest that for me because I'm really excited about it. But yeah, this is very comfortable already. It's going to be a lot of ends to weave in. This project is supposed to only have 2 colors, so you can just carry the colors up the or down the side or like down the project with you so you don't have to cut. But I cut every single time I change a color. So like this is what it's looking like on the inside. And I'm kind of terrified and I'm just ignoring it. That's why I haven't worked on this, because I'm just ignoring it. And I have to change colors a lot, which I expected, but but I'm putting it on this video because I think if I talk about it here and I show you my progress here and, you know, I talk about how much I love the way this feels already and I'm really excited to wear it with my other knits, I think it will give me the accountability to finish it, to work on it and finish it before the weather starts cooling down so I can have it ready to go because I am excited for that prospect. I'm hoping that, I don't know if this pattern, again, I don't read patterns all the way through before I work on them. I kind of like living on the edge like that. I kind of like being surprised and being like, oh, I'm about to learn a new technique. But anyways, I don't know if she asks for a double knit button band or just rib. I believe it's just supposed to be rib. I'm planning on doing double knitting. So I'm wondering if I can like stuff these into the double knitting somehow. I don't really know if that's going to work. I might just have to weave them in normally. But yeah, that's the deterrent for this, is all of the ends and having to switch yarns a lot. But I think this color combination is so fun. It's like something that you would see for children. Like I feel like they don't make adult clothes that are this colorful and fun. So I'm excited to be working on something like that. I also really enjoy these like really wide sleeves. I think that's why this pattern is called a jacket, because the sleeves are so wide and they don't really like taper that much. So it's like you could wear another long sleeve underneath it, which is also a great idea. I should plan for that. Yeah, this is such an amazing pattern. I need to just work on this. This is going to be my inspiration to keep working on this. But yeah, lovely colors. You know, we've got the sleeves done. I just got to keep cranking on the body. Hold me accountable, you guys. You know, I like that this almost is like Sarah's personal knitting color palette in a jacket, because these are all things that I've used for projects for me or for my partner. And yeah, it just feels like a curation of colors that is very specific to me. So I'm excited to have this, and actually talking about it is making me more excited about this project again. So I think mission successful. I'm going to start working on this again soon. I'm knitting the size extra small. I suppose that's important. Another situation where I'm knitting the size extra small, that I think that the small was probably what was recommended for my size, but I'm knitting the extra small because her patterns tend to recommend that you wear stuff super oversized. And again, don't want to be swallowed by my cardigan, and also was worried about running out of scrap yarn. So extra small for this. I'll keep working on this. I'm excited to update you on it in future videos / on Instagram. Okay, and my last work in progress is just started. I only have a swatch for it. And actually, I don't know that I'm going to use the exact combination that's in the swatch, but this is a test knit. This is the first test knit that I've ever done. I was invited by Mia Emerencia, but Mia, thank you so much for inviting me to test knit. She invited me on Instagram. She is a smaller knitwear designer based out of Norway, and this is called the Merino top. So this is a DK weight cabled tank top type knit, which is in testing, and I was very excited to be invited. The original top was made in Knitting for Olive Merino, held with Knitting for Olive pure silk. So again, to achieve that DK weight, I had Knitting for Olive Merino in the color pomegranate in stash for a sweater that I've had in Ravelry queue for a long time. But the look of this top is so autumnal. It's like transitional. It's like late summer, early autumn tank top that I was like, no, this is what this is for. So I've had this Knitting for Olive Merino in the color pomegranate in stash. I've actually never used it before. I've used cotton merino and silk, but I've never used the straight merino. It's really soft. So I'm very excited to be using this. It is absolutely in my color palette because I'm a warm autumn. And I think it looks nice with my red hair. But using this, I don't know that there is pure silk in the color pomegranate. So if I was going to use the exact combination she used, I would have to use a different red, and I really didn't want to compromise the red. So this swatch was knit with one strand of the Knitting for Olive Merino and pomegranate, and then 2 strands of the Isier Alpaca 1 in the color Cayenne. Yeah, so it's Isier Alpaca 1. It's color number 21. It's called Cayenne. It's a very similar color to the pomegranate. It's a little bit cooler, and I think that might be, well, that's part of why I'm not wanting to use this for the test knit. Because if you look at the swatch, I feel like it kind of compromises the purity of the pomegranate. Like it feels like it's dulling it down, and I want that pomegranate to pop, you know? So I feel like I'm planning on just holding 2 strands of the merino together because I have 9 balls of it. So if I use 6 balls for this top, I'll have 3 left, and then I can use it for a smaller tank top, or I don't know, a colorwork sweater or something. But beyond the fact that this is sort of compromising the color, it's maybe too rustic for me. I wanted to make the tulip loop sweater by Other Loops with the Knitting for Olive Merino and then a lace weight held with it. I wanted to use the altered gauge that Hip Knit Hooray, Rebecca from Hip Knit Hooray, is using, but I didn't want to use mohair because I have a mohair sweater and it's a little scratchy and it's very expensive, and so I wasn't really wanting to do that. So I've heard other people that don't love mohair a lot use lace weight alpaca as a substitute because you do get more yardage for like within the 50 grams, and it is a little bit more cost effective, but I think it's just as scratchy. And it is warm, which is okay because it was going to be a sweater, but it's not now. The Merino top is a tank top. So I think that it's going to be too like weather confused if I use the merino and the alpaca. Like I just like holding it against my neck. I just think that it's going to be too prickly. The swatch is beautiful, so I kind of think I'll like hang it up because I think it's lovely. But for the test knit, I don't think I'm going to use the alpaca. And I'm kind of wondering if I'm going to ever use the alpaca. as a Florida knitter. So if any of you were interested in buying 3 balls of the Issir alpaca one in the color cayenne, I will sell them to you. Otherwise, they're just gonna hang out in stash. Maybe if I was making a sweater that was like a super outer layer, so it was going to have like at least one long sleeve underneath it, I think I could do the alpaca, but I think that like it's too prickly for me and too warm, but it is very pretty. So this is why we don't impulsively buy things, because I bought all of this knitting for all of Merino and all of this alpaca like months ago in the dead of summer, dreaming about this tulip loop top. But yeah, I don't know if the alpaca's for me. So if anybody's interested, let me know, because we can work something out. I have 3 of these. So yeah, that is the swatch for the test knit. I'm going to swatch again in the knitting for olive merino held double, and I think that will work because there's not that much disparity between the weight of the silk and the merino. The silk might be a little bit finer, but I think I'll still hit gauge with the merino. So yeah, I'm really excited about this test knit. So this top is knit up on 4.5 millimeter needles with 3 millimeter and 4 millimeter needles for like some of the neckband and armhole detailing and all of that. So it should be a quicker knit, a DK weight. I think that this will be cute under jackets in the fall or just on its own because, you know, our fall is a little bit warmer than other climates. So I'm very excited to start working on this. Mia, again, thank you so much for inviting me to test knit this. I'm very excited. I'll be posting updates on my progress on this on Instagram and maybe Reels potentially. I like recording little videos, so they're very fun for me to make anyways. So if you guys like them, I would love to share them with you here. So give me some feedback on that. But yeah, that's really the update on the Marin top test knit. I'm excited, really grateful to have been invited. So thank you again. But yeah, let's just get into the acquisitions and plans section. This is really small today. I really only have one thing to talk about. So the first thing that is kind of an acquisition, it's like an old acquisition, is the materials for, drumroll please, a second Olga jacket by Petite Knit. So I did buy both of these a while ago. This yarn is Madelinetosh DK from my last birthday. It was actually the first time I ever went to Fuzzy Goat, so it was last December that I picked this up. You can see that it's all caked up now. There's actually another cake that's still, or another skein still drying. So I had originally knit this up into the polo sweater by Caitlin Barthold. It's a free pattern up on her website, and it did not fit right at all. I'll put in pictures. It fit really well before I blocked it, and then this is superwash merino, so it grew a lot. The neckline before blocking was perfect. The V-neck hit right here, and then after blocking it went like all the way down here, and so I had to wear a tank top underneath it. It was not ideal. I wanted a more fitted like short sleeve polo top, and it just grew way too much. So I did learn my lesson about superwash merino, and I did learn my lesson about frogging things that you don't like that much. So yeah, I finished this January 26th of 2025, and just this week, so August, so 7 months it took me to gather up the courage to frog all of that work. There's like a twisted rib collar. It was so much work, but anyways, it's okay. I've gotten over it. I unwound it all. I wrapped it around a office chair to make it into hanks, and then I gave them a good wash because they were super crinkly and like ramen-y looking, and so I put them in my sink, gave them a bath all together, and then I pulled them out. My partner has never been more excited about knitting or yarn ever. He was very excited to squeeze all of the water out of the yarn swamp in the sink. He said, "This is part of knitting?" And I said, "Well, if you mess up, it's part of knitting." So I was like, please don't wish that on me, because frogging an entire top is not a great feeling, but it is great to like feel like I've gained this again. Like this feels like a brand new acquisition because it's all caked up It's all washed. I washed it with my wool soap, so it smells nice. And you know, I'm giving myself that sort of respect, that I know that my work shouldn't be wasted in an object that I just don't wear and don't like, and that I can repurpose it to something that I do like. So anyways, that's a really philosophical take on frogging, but really, you know, that's what it is. Like, our work is valuable, our time is valuable, and if the end product is not something that we like, then we should be able to, you know, unravel and make it something new. That's something that I really like about knitting. I'm actually a painter. I got my BFA in studio art and in painting. So I spent, you know, 3 years of college just painting. And there are so many things that I wish that, you know, that just don't work out. Most things don't work out. And so the great thing about knitting is that when it doesn't work out, you still have raw material that you can get back. With painting, the paint is dry. Like, you've used that paint, you've used that canvas. Sure, you can like cover it over or paint over an old painting, but you're never going to get that paint back. So there's something like really cathartic about knitting for me, as someone who came from painting, that it's really wonderful to hold it in my hand. Like, tactility is something that's really important to me. So just being able to like reprocess the yarn, to rewash it, squeeze the water out, hang dry it, recake it up, and use it again in something beautiful is really gratifying. And it's something that I never was able to get, because there's like a lot of shame, at least for me, there was a lot of shame in making a painting I didn't like, because it like takes up space, it used materials which are often very expensive that I'm just never going to get back. So not only am I not going to get back the time, I'm not going to get back the materials, and now I have something taking up space that feels like a reminder of the things that I don't like about my art practice. So again, you can see that there's a lot in here about painting, and I feel like my new sort of knitting journey is almost healing some of that within me, because I am a maker at heart, very clearly. I've never loved anything more than making things, and there's just something so healing about making things that are utilitarian, things that I wear, things that I can give to other people that they will get use out of, things that are made from, you know, like natural fibers. And if I don't like the original product, I can unwind it, and there it is again, that raw product again, or that raw material again. It's just, I think it's healing a lot of the sort of difficulties that I've had in my art practice. So little side note on making and painting and materials. I mean, obviously there is things to gain from failure, and you know, my good paintings were the product of many bad paintings before it, obviously, but my good knits are also a product of my bad knits more directly. Like, the polo not working out, I don't have a polo lying around anymore. I have yarn that's usable, and it was my birthday yarn, so it should be used in something beautiful that I like. It'd be cool if I had this done by my next birthday, which is in December. Considering that there's already an Olga jacket in progress, makes me think that maybe not. I'm wondering if I cast this one on too, finish this one first and then finish the scrappy one, because I'm only planning to use these two like the pattern recommends, where you're just carrying the yarn up the side. So the fear of weaving in ends will not be present with this project. We'll see. I don't know. You guys can give me feedback on that in the comments too. I feel like I'm being so needy this video. I'm asking you guys so many questions. You don't have to answer my questions, but I would appreciate it if you did. Yeah, this is the Madelinetosh Merino DK in the color Jade. This is mostly it. It's a really just incredible green color. You all know that I love green. Here I am wearing green, holding green. But it's so complementary to a redhead, you know, it just really makes the hair pop, makes the green pop. It's such a symbiotic relationship. But anyways, color Jade, it's 675 yards, so it's plenty to do it'll be my main color in the second Olga top or Olga jacket. I'm hoping to do the neckline and the button band in the green, and then have this cream color. This is the Eco Merino DK. I believe it's undyed. It is. It's 100% merino wool and it's undyed. So this is from Cascade yarns. I've never used an undyed before. So there's something really exciting and natural about that I enjoy. But yeah, superwash merino. I think that I will be using it to my advantage this time because the polo that I was hoping to make was supposed to be fitted, and superwash is not good for fitted. But if I'm making a cardigan, I can have a little bit more growth. Like I'm okay with, if the sleeves get longer, I'm okay with the body getting longer or wider because again, it's an outerwear piece, so it's gonna go over stuff. But yeah, I'm just really happy to have this in my acquisitions, I guess, and in my future plans. I do have 2 skeins of the Eco Merino DK, so it should be enough to be that contrast color, and I just think that that pairing will be very flattering on me and will make a great Olga jacket. So we will see if I finish my first Olga jacket before casting this one on. I have a strong feeling that I'm going to cast this one on and try and finish it before my birthday, before I finish the scrappy one, just because of the weaving in the ends. Oh, something I meant to talk about is that when I washed this again, when I washed this the first time when it was the polo, it bled a lot. The water turned green. And I washed it, so it's already been washed once and then frogged, and I washed it again and the water turned super green again. So this yarn bleeds. It's going to be a striped colorwork sweater, so I don't want this cream, which is undyed, to get like tinted green. I've heard that people will put vinegar in their like, you know, yarn bath or sweater bath along with the wool wash. And I'm looking for some feedback on the vinegar because nobody has specified how much they're using, and it feels like your sweater would smell bad if you're using vinegar in the bath. So like, how much vinegar am I supposed to use to keep this from bleeding? And does it smell bad? And does it prevent future bleeding? Or do I have to use vinegar every time I wash this? These are all questions that I could probably Google, but firsthand experiences are almost more valuable to me, because you never know. So have you used superwash merino that was dyed very heavily and then used it in colorwork with vinegar? If you did, how much vinegar? Please and thank you. But yeah, this is going to be a good reuse of this yarn, and I'm very excited to have a new object. It's very soft, it's so luxurious, really nice. So I'm just really happy that it's not going to waste. All right, well, that was everything that I had to share with you today. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for entrusting me with your time. I hope you got some good knitting done. I really appreciate you being here and all of your kind words and support in the last video has just been a really unique experience for me and really gratifying. So thank you guys so much for building this knitting community with me online. This is everything I could have hoped for, and I've only posted 1 video. So thank you guys so much. If you made it to the end, let me know a project that didn't work out for you that you frogged and turned into something new. I think that that's a really valuable experience, and I think that it's something that we should share because I feel like, you know, knitted objects are precious, especially when you spend so much time on something. For newer knitters who have like made garments that aren't that perfect or don't fit them the way they hoped, I just want to inspire you to frog it and make something new because you deserve that. Your work deserves to be used and be loved and be worn. So if you made something that isn't just quite right, I would really recommend frogging and making something new. Thank you again for spending this time with me. I look forward to hearing from you in the comments. And until next time, happy knitting.